You just sit there going, please, no Democrats, no liberals, no progressives. It's like that press your luck game. No Jewy, no Jewy, no Jewy, no Jewy. The first place is a dude, but if you flip his picture upside down, kind of looks like an old lady. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Tired of the same old political hot takes? Jon Stewart's got the cure for your news fatigue. In this video, we're breaking down his hilarious and surprisingly insightful reaction to Trump's recent brush with danger. Here we go into Jon Stewart's scathing critique of Trump's most recent blunder, a good dosage of how did we get here. Reflection will accompany the laughs and cringeworthy political gaffes. An assassination attempt, surely that would unite people, wouldn't you agree? Myth busted. A strange form of not it has apparently emerged among political factions. Who would have thought that grief could be played like a sport?
You're on pins and needles in this sort of reverse demographic lottery. Or perhaps a circumspect, well, let's not rush to judgment. We shouldn't generalize.
In walks political satirist Jon Stewart, whose most recent idea is the reverse demographic lottery. You're hoping your team doesn't be picked rather than wishing for your numbers to be called in this twisted take on bingo. Think about this. When word gets out that Trump is the target of an assassination attempt, the whole country becomes engrossed in the news. However, the safety of the orange man is not a concern for them. Whoops, they're keeping their fingers crossed that the gunman isn't a member of their political party. The way Stewart expresses it is quite amusing. You just sit there going, please, no Democrats, no liberals, no progressives. Imagine a bunch of youngsters playing dodgeball with considerably bigger stakes than what you'd find in a typical game.
To make sure that the psychopathic shooter doesn't belong to one of your teams. We have to know what our posture will be on the tragedy. Will it be a haughty, I told you?
This entire situation highlights the profound political chasm in the United States. People, we're talking division on a Grand Canyon scale here. Instead of pulling together as a country after a violent incident, we focus on the team jersey the offender is wearing. Nonetheless, this is hardly novel. Stewart notes that powdered wigs and quill pens are hardly the only things that have caused this type of reaction. Their main concern at the time was likely the shooter's political leanings, whether they were federalist or anti-federalist. Distinct era, same drama.
You just sit there going, please, no Democrats, no liberals, no progressives. It's like that press your luck game. No Jewy, no Jewy, no Jewy, no Jewy. The first place is a dude, but if you flip his picture upside down, kind of looks like an old lady. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
The arrival of conspiracy theorists brings the political circus to an even wilder level. These people elevate QAnon to the level of a novice group, curious as to the nature of their hypotheses this time around. False flags and golf clubs are involved, to put it mildly. The wacky realm of conspiracy theories that proliferated following the assassination attempt outpaced even Trump's justifications, and our beloved political satire Jon Stewart is right back where he started. Stewart said, "Within minutes I found out that this is staged, and then I found out that it was actually an inside job, and then I found out it was Joe Biden who ordered it. It seems like there's a theory for every taste, and the only difference is that the mistakes in this game of telephone are full-blown political paranoia rather than benign errors. The news will report on a botched assassination attempt 1 second, and then you'll think the whole thing is a conspiracy involving the Illuminati and shape-shifting lizard people the next."
To me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. The most important thing in the world is just to show human beings that we're kind and we're caring and that we take care of one another and that the world is united.
Speculative fiction is more entertaining than factual information, right? However, that's not all. While we're on the subject of conspiracies, how about we play conspiracy theory bingo? There are some timeless sayings on your cards, such as, "It was a false flag operation," and "The rifle was actually a cleverly disguised golf club."
And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual.
Coming from a fence with a chain link, okay, so he saw that, the agent?
That is correct, yes.
Keep in mind that the center section is for the statement, "It's all part of the deep state's plan." A tinfoil hat and an infinite supply of cynicism await the first person to get 5 consecutive ones. A sobering reminder that political paranoia has not evolved is Stewart's ridicule of these outlandish theories. The same patterns of mistrust and irrational speculation that have dogged American politics since the days of powdered wigs and quill pens seem to be repeating themselves, as if we were trapped in a time loop. How is that different? Twitter has allowed us to disseminate the chaos at an unprecedented rate. Have you ever considered the rate of dissemination of such conspiracy ideas, considering the importance of speed? It's as if somebody is running a relay race of conspiracy theories, carrying the torch of disinformation from one runner to another. Conspiracy theories have already finished the race, showered, and are halfway through their victory lap before the truth has even tied its shoes. The political circus is non-stop, with suspicions of conspiracies and Twitter feuds taking center stage. Imagine, though, if I informed you that the subject of the most recent scandal was ears rather than secret societies or false flags. Indeed, what you heard was accurate. Listening aides, the political class, and media alike are outraged by it. Alexander Vindman, a witness in the Trump impeachment case, and his wife, Rachel Vindman, decided to add some spice to the situation with a tweet that caused quite a stir online. What does she mean by that? No hearing was impaired. Continue with the remainder of your Sunday. What a great way to spark a fire. Perhaps you're asking, well, what's the big issue? An ear joke, that's all. The political arena is so cutthroat that even earlobes may spark controversy, my friends. A backlash ensued in response to Vindman's tweet almost as quickly as Trump could shout fake news. It didn't take long for politicians on both sides of the aisle to seize this enticing opportunity to voice their disgust. It didn't take long for Republican strategist Chris LaCivita to urge Alexander Vindman to denounce his wife's remarks. He apparently mistook Rachel's tweet for a code saying, "Let's start an ear revolution." In the meanwhile, prominent conservatives were quick to call the tweet vile and horrible. Apparently, they don't want anything to do with trivializing an assassination attempt. Who would have thought? However, things start to get intriguing at this point. Not content to let his wife absorb the criticism alone, Alexander Vindman retaliated with his own biting remark. He said, "Your candidate, a real Donald Trump, has incited political violence for a decade," in reference to Trump's history of inciting violence. Accusations are flying around like a political tennis match, with each side yelling, "You're fired," at the top of its lungs. Our reliable navigator through this political labyrinth, Jon Stewart, couldn't resist pointing out the ridiculousness of it all. He reminded us that we dodged a catastrophe, but it was still a tragedy, and he pushed for more compassionate political discourse. It's as if he's implying in some way that we ought to value one another as individuals. Absurd, isn't it? And here's the worst part. All of this conflict on Twitter is really an indication of a far larger issue. Because of our numbness to political violence, we now laugh about attempted assassinations. It's as if we're a part of a surreal universe where sadness is merely a punchline. The irony, of course, is something we must not overlook. Even though he didn't start it, Trump, the master of provocative tweets, is suddenly in the middle of a Twitter storm. Observing the Twitter backlash consume its own head is like being a spectator in a social media robbery. After this embarrassing fiasco, what did we take away from it? First of all, talking politics nowadays is about as grown up as a fight in a playground. We have lost the ability to engage in meaningful discourse over the matters that truly concern because we are occupied with assigning blame and making lighthearted remarks. Despite everything that's wrong with this situation, maybe there's a bright side. Maybe this Twitter conflict will make people realize they need to do something.